thank you very much for staying tuned. It's still development focus with Jide Ojo on ITV. We are on the final lap of this marathon discussion segments. This is our fourth discussion segment this morning. It does happen at times, and I hope you are enjoying what we have been able to bring to you. Something happened yesterday. The Corruption Perception Index by Transparency International was published for 2021, and Nigeria now ranks 154 out of 180 countries where this survey took place. I've brought those who are responsible for that rating. I've brought one of them, and is Samuel Asimi. Is a program specialist with Civil Society Legislative Advocacy Center, also doubles as Nigeria's Transparency International Office. Samuel, you're welcome on the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
So why are you people unkind to Nigeria? We moved from 146. I think we were 146 in 2020.
Yes, 2019.
2020.
2020. 149.
Oh, okay. In 2019, we were 146.
Yes, please.
In 2020, we were 149.
Yes.
Now we are 154.
154.
What accounts for that poor rating? Maybe before you answer that, walk us through how is this CPI? How is it? I have that. What's the technicality involved?
Thank you very much, Mr. Judy. And I think it's important for our listeners and everybody to understand the methodology of the CPI.
Exactly. We want to understand that methodology because EFCC will not agree with you. They said they have recorded the highest number of convictions, 2,200. It's unprecedented. And you are now saying that we are worse off 5 steps from where we were last year.
Yeah. I'll just a quick reaction to that. So, it doesn't just measure EFCC's efforts alone. I think it's important we reflect that and point that out. So it measures public sector corruption in Nigeria as a whole. So not just the work of the EFCC. I mean, the fact that EFCC is recording those record numbers of convictions shows you indeed there is corruption.
Of course.
Good. So back to the point on the methodology. The CPI, the Corruption Perceptions Index, is actually computed by Transparency International.
Which is based in Berlin,
Germany. The secretariat based in Berlin, Germany, and CISLAC as TI in Nigeria releases the CPI for Nigeria. So it's a composite data. It's computed by TI. So TI makes use of sources, credible sources, like the World Bank, the World Justice Rule of Law Project, the World Economic Forum, the Bertelsmann Foundation Transformation Index, and a couple of others. We have 8 sources for Nigeria, for 8 sources, credible sources used for Nigeria for this 2021 CPI. So what we do is we measure public sector corruption around bribery, around criminal justice prosecution of cases, around state capture, around access to information by civil society, journalists, red tapes. We measure grand corruption and lots of this. So we get data sources from these 8 credible sources. Then we get like the mean average, and then we compute it. So it's lots of statistics. So it's standardized because some of the sources have 0 to 7 to rate. Some have 0 to 100. So TI tries to standardize them and then gets the median, and that actually comes out at the score. So it's important because we emphasize that aside the ranking, which you've just mentioned, we also have a score. So the score is from 0 to 100, 0 being very corrupt and 100 being the least corrupt. So more oftentimes we tell individuals, citizens, to pay attention to the score more than even the ranking, because the ranking is a function of other countries around you and their performance. Good. So on the score, I mean, it's also not good news because we also dropped to record low. That's 24 over 100. Last year it was 25. The previous year it was 26. And the previous one it was 27. So it's a decline, which is a challenge. And previously, the last low we had was 25, which we had last year and we had in 2013. but prior to that, we've not really had lows. We've had a high of 28, which was in 2016, where we had a high of 28. But generally, what this tells us is there's work to be done. As a country, we have work to be done. I mean, you saw the revelations by the Auditor General's non-compliance reports on
the 4.9 trillion.
Good. Good. You could see lots of
2019 report.
Yes, 2019 report that was published in November last year. Yeah, so you have about 9 MDs using about 49 billion naira without proper appropriation.
Even the National Assembly, 5.8 billion that are not receipted.
Beautiful. I'm happy you have all this to also back the point up. And then you look at issues around we just saw issues of duplications around the budget.
By ICPC.
Different individuals. So generally, when you
and then the loss of firearms by Nigerian police. They said 178,000 weapons could not be accounted for.
That's actually very, very disturbing. If you look at the report we issued, we tried to quantify that into close to you have all the firearms. If you put them together, you have close to about 80,000 firearms when you join the AK-47 and the pistols together. And that number, it's actually like in our report we actually broke it down. That's about 25% of the police force strength, which is estimated to be around 370,000. So if you look at that, it then gives you an explanation as to why we actually have the level of insecurity we have in the country. Because if you have those level or amounts of arms and ammunition unaccounted for, then there's trouble. And if you look at the cable index, as well as the Council on Foreign Relations index, we had over 5,000 Nigerians killed in issues related to insecurity, and that was an average of about 14 Nigerians killed every day in the country. This indeed is actually disturbing. So you see that when there's lack of accountability, when there's lack of transparency, when corruption actually happens, it has an effect, a ripple effect in other sectors of society.
Samuel, I know the government of the day will not agree with CPI's rating or score, because they felt they are winning the war against corruption. ICPC is recording very huge number of prosecution. The EFCC and ICPC is also doing system reviews, making a lot of revelations. Last year we were told 2 civil servants had between them 301 houses scattered around Nigeria. Then all the system reviews have also shown money laundering using properties, houses and
real estates and the rest.
Real estates and all of that. So isn't that progress measurable for us to even clap and commend Buhari administration for fighting corruption?
It's a good point you're raising. And I'll just tell you, just look at a quick example. The Pandora Papers.
Yeah.
Good.
Yes.
So on the continent, Nigeria had the highest number of politically exposed persons that were revealed on the Pandora Papers. As I speak to you, no action has been done. Nobody, nothing, no one has been investigated to our knowledge, no one has been prosecuted, no one has been convicted. And our position on the Pandora Paper is not even as if anybody there is guilty or not. Our point is for these anti-graft agencies to actually answer the questions Nigerians want. Now, it's not just about record. Convictions are beautiful. They are fantastic. We appreciate and applaud these anti-graft agencies for that. But then there are high-profile, politically exposed persons that the citizens actually want you to prosecute and convict. And some of these persons, they even switch political affiliations. And there's these feelings that once they've done that, there's a bit of a cover for them. So these are the issues. Fine, you can get internet fraudsters and the rest and convict them. That's beautiful because you're reading the society and you're trying to clean up the society. But then high-profile corruption, politically exposed persons, these are the people that citizens also want, not just the low,
not the riffraffs, not the small rats
on the street. So because these individuals are costing the country. If you look at issues around the budget issues around the budget padding and all other issues, these are things we need to also look into. Another part that was also highlighted, because the team of the CPI is also the rights of human rights defenders and anti-corruption and transparency experts generally, in terms of the shrinking civic space. You know, once individuals can't actually hold governments to accountability, then of course corruption thrives. And last year we actually recorded on numerous fronts. I mean, from the Twitter ban, I look at Civicus Monitor. Nigeria is actually, the space is not nice. It's actually restricted. If you look at the World Press Freedom Index, if you look at the World Freedom House Index, if you look at the Reporters Without Borders, on all these indexes, Nigeria actually declined on all of them.
But we signed on to open government partnership. Isn't that something that we also should share? That and then there is Freedom of Information Act in place. Those are baby steps to successes that should also be acknowledged and applauded.
Good point. You say we signed on to OGP. We have the FOI in 2011,
yes.
And we signed on to the OGP about 5 years ago. These are good steps. But what you've noticed, especially in the past year, is the space has been shrinking for human rights actors, human rights defenders, and this is something that should be looked into. Nobody's discarding, and I think this is still something we try to reiterate, because we know the anti-graft agencies are doing their best to some extent. There are other areas they can improve, so they are doing well, if I would say. But then again, it's important to note that when you talk of you look at subnational levels, you look at how corruption moves there, you look at different sectors and areas. You even look at not even the executive, you look at the National Assembly, you look at the judiciary, cases of nepotism in appointment, promotion, even in discipline of judicial officers. So these are points and areas we actually flag and we think are weaknesses that the government can actually improve upon. So this, generally, it's not just saying...
So now, as we round up, this report is out. Do you share it with the critical stakeholders? Does the president get a copy of it? Does the National Assembly get copies? Does the anti-corruption agencies, do they get copies of this CPI?
Beautiful. So the CPI is accessible on our website. It's accessible on Transparency International's website. Just a fun fact. So last year, the federal government had set up a task force, a committee, to look at Nigeria's performance on the CPI. So it was set up in March, and we got the report in October. And we looked at it, and of course it was dismissive because they dismissed they dismissed everything. The tone of the report was dismissive, but we felt it's a good step in the right direction because it showed some level of commitment. And we at Transparency International Nigeria, we are willing to work with the government. And I think this is important because we work with them. We've had some discussions back and forth in the past with them on how they can improve on these areas. I've actually flagged it to them. So the political will to work on those areas is what's important. And just quickly before we round up, it's important to know that once a government is in power, most times they discard this CPI, but once they become opposition, they now actually embrace
anyway,
the CPI.
Let's leave it to someone like I know you can talk about this. You think and read and drink anti-corruption. Well, that would be the size of our discussion and the size of our program, Development Focus with Jojo on ITV this morning. If you've enjoyed this, please stay tuned. Next Wednesday will be a fresh edition. Let me quickly thank my guest, Samuel Asimi, for coming on the show. My regards to the Mayor of Abuja, Rafsanjani, Awa Musa Rafsanjani, the Executive Director of CISLAC, for giving you the opportunity to be on this show. And we wish you all the best. And do stay safe.
Thank you.
Have a great day, Nigerians.